And now on the line is Hazel Gavigan, who is the Global Campaign and Activation Officer of 4 Day Week Global. Hazel, welcome to the programme.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Hazel, I've done a couple of interviews about the 4 Day Week movement on Near FM in the last few years, including talking to Andrew Barnes and Joe O'Connor, with Joe when he was with Forza. Today is my first interview on the topic in over 2 years, though. As this is my first interview with you personally and on the topic in general in a couple of years, could you remind our listeners, Hazel, a bit more about who 4 Day Week Global are first, please, and then tell us a bit about your organisation?
Sure, yeah. So 4 Day Week Global was founded in New Zealand by Andrew Barnes and Charlotte Lockhart back in 2019. So that was following the success of their own pioneering trial of the 4 Day Working Week in their company, Perpetual Guardian. So their approach is based on a 180-100 model. So you get 100% of the pay for 80% of the time in exchange for a commitment to delivering 100% of the productivity or the output. And since it was set up, 4 Day Week Global has supported hundreds of companies from a variety of industries all over the world to run 4 Day Week trials and to make the permanent transition to reduced hour productivity focused working.
Yeah, and you're saying there he's only set up in 2019. Has the 4 Day Week idea grown in the last few years, Hazel? And I'm conscious as well of since 2020 we had the COVID situation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for sure. So the 4 Day Week, ever since we've been talking about it anyway, it's always been a very popular concept. People love the idea of it. But I think up until about 2 years ago, many people kind of thought it to be a sort of a pie in the sky idea. But COVID, as it was, the great disruptor, it's just proved that there are different ways of doing things. So now, as we emerge from the pandemic, quality of life is fast becoming the new frontier for competition between businesses, and it's turned the 4 Day Week into a competitive issue. So a few years ago, companies were looking to the 4 Day Week for productivity benefits and well-being for their staff, which those benefits still exist, of course, if you implement this. But now people are coming to us more so to try and give themselves an edge to retain better staff. So, for example, one company in the US who made the move, they're a tech company, and they were saying they just can't compete with Facebook and Google and those kind of big companies in terms of salaries. But what they can compete with is working hours. And in a world where people value their own time more and more, companies are now using the 4 Day Week as a mechanism to attract and retain the best talent.
Okay. As I said in my introduction, I interviewed Andrew a couple of years ago. Is Andrew retired now? Is he, Hazel?
No, he's still very much involved. My colleague Joe, who you also mentioned there, Joe has spent the last couple of months with the organisation as the Global Pilot Programme Manager, and he's more recently moved into the role of CEO of the organisation. So Charlotte Lockhart, she was one of the founders, she's moving on to the role of Executive Director. She was the previous CEO, but Andrew, he's still very much involved as the architect and the founder of the movement.
Okay, and you mentioned Joe there. Am I right in saying that your organisation has a big Irish feel to it now with yourself and Joe working for it?
It does, yeah. We have a strong Irish contingent, all right. So myself and Joe, we worked together on the 4 Day Week Ireland campaign back a couple of years ago. So it's now the intention to take our learnings from that successful experience and transpose them into other national branches across the world. So yeah, it's a diverse team. We have ourselves from Ireland. We have people based in New Zealand. We have people in the US and the UK. So it can prove tricky sometimes for scheduling meetings, but we're good at the flexibility, so we make it work.
I know Joe's in the US at the moment. Is he going to be based in Ireland or the US, or is he traveling around the world, or what's the story?
He's currently based in New York, yeah, for the moment. He's due over there for another couple of months, and yeah, I suppose we'll take it from there then. But yeah, he's based in New York at the moment, anyways, doing this job.
Yeah, say he'll be travelling a bit with his job.
Mm-hmm.
And yourself and Joe were only recently in the jobs, aren't you?
Yeah, so I've only very recently come on board, so I'm new in the position, but I'm not new to the concept, I suppose. So, as I mentioned, I was previously involved with the 4 Day Week Ireland campaign, and then More recently, yeah, I've become involved as the global campaigns and activation officer here with 4-Day Week. So my primary focus is to support the development and the expansion of the 4-Day Week's global reach. So I work with enhancing grassroots engagement with supporters and workers, and just offer them a global support and a resource to grow their own campaigns nationally based on our campaign model and experience.
I know there's a specific campaign called 4-Day Week Ireland. I know Joe, when he's with Force, I believe he was the director of it. But is that campaign still going, or have you yourselves kind of taken over the role, or what's the story?
Yeah, so the 4-Day Week Global, we offer a global support to try and spread the movement across the world insofar as possible. But in order to be able to do that, we need these national branches or these national legs. So that's what the 4-Day Week Ireland was, and there's many others across the world in the UK, the US, and New Zealand. So yeah, the 4-Day Week Ireland, it's still very much up and running. We actually launched a national pilot of the 4-Day Week in Ireland back in February. So 17 companies in Ireland signed up to that pilot program, and we have businesses ranging from those who offer recruitment services to bioceutical manufacturers, and the pilot is for 6 months. So we started, as I said, back in February, and the progress of these companies is going to be mapped by academics in UCD who are collaborating with Boston College and Cambridge University. So we offer these companies business support. So that includes a training program developed by companies who've already successfully implemented the 4-day working week. We offer coaching, mentoring, advice from 4-day week business leaders. There's networking and collaboration with other participant companies in Ireland and internationally. And the participants of the trial, they also have access to world-class academic research and expert analysis.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you how the 4-Day Week movement is getting on in Ireland. Can you tell us, Hazel, I won't keep much longer, can you tell us, Hazel, what is your message for employers in Ireland working in both the public sector and private sectors in relation to the possibility of taking on the 4-Day Week program?
So yeah, what I would say to employers is that companies who have already made the transition to a 4-day work week have seen increases in productivity. They've seen higher talent attraction and retention, deeper customer engagement, and improved employee health. So Ireland has an opportunity to be a global leader by recognising that the future of work is about productivity. It's about well-being, flexibility, sustainability, and we need to move away from this focus on time as a measure of productivity. So there are significant, substantial benefits to be reaped according to the 4-day week case studies worldwide and the research that we've seen. And 4-day week Global is here to support you and your company to make the transition. So I suppose if you think it sounds like an interesting concept, you can reach out to us at 4daywweek.com and we can discuss how to make it work for you.
Okay, yeah, I'm a big supporter of the movement. I'm not involved in it or anything, but just doing interviews. And at least my fourth interview about it. I interviewed someone from the ICE group as well in Galway. Do you know them? Do you?
I do indeed, yeah. Margaret and Trail. I worked with them on the 4-day week Ireland campaign. Yeah, they're a great company altogether. Yeah, pioneers in the 4-day week.
Yeah, I interviewed one of their workers, Osquel, got on Near FM and Radio and Liff a couple of years ago. Okay, Hazel, before you go, if you haven't already answered this question, do you have any big plans in 4-day week global over the rest of the year in Ireland that are not that is not at the moment confidential or anything?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I touched on the pilot program that we have running at the moment, and we hope to do another pilot next year in Ireland as well. So we'll be kind of getting that ready to launch towards the end of this year, and then launch it again around the same time next year. And the departments of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, and Environment, Climate and Communications, they recently released a research tender seeking to better understand the implications of reduced working hours in terms of like social, economic and environmental factors. So that's very welcome. We're really looking forward to those results, and I suppose to ensure the broadest and most credible research outcomes from that process, we do encourage government to use its influence to maximise participation in 4-day week pilots across both the public and the private sectors. But in terms of 4-day week global, I suppose there's all that going on in Ireland, and then we have many other pilots running across the world. So most recently we recruited over 50 companies to the UK pilot to take part in the 6-month trial over there. So that's kicking off on June 1st, and 3,000 employees will have an extra day off work over there. So really looking forward to the results of that, I suppose. But yeah, the ultimate goal, I suppose, is to make the 4-day working week the new default and reduce working time the new standard. So that's what we're striving for at the moment.
And you're very active on social media, aren't you, for spreading the message? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. So we're at 4dayweek_global. You'll find us 4dayweek.com as well. We have all our socials, so we encourage you to follow along there and follow the journey. And if you're seeking any information about implementing it yourself, or if you think it'd be good in your own business or company, that's where you can reach us for more information as well.